a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Welcome to the restricted section. I don't recommend you read the books. I don't recommend you watch the movies. I don't recommend you buy the merch. What I do recommend is calling an old friend just to say hi. If you haven't done the reading, don't worry. We've done it for you. Here's what we're talking about this week. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Chapter 22, The Deathly Hallows, in which Harry Potter is like really, really sure. And everyone else is not sure at all. I'm your host, Christina. With me today is my friend Taylor. Say hello to the listeners, Taylor.
Hi, I'm joined by Ginny today, the pup. We'll
Hello,
see
Ginny,
how
the
well
pup.
she does.
Also with us today is our friend Charlie. Say hello to the listeners, Charlie.
Hello to the listeners, Charlie.
Crushed it. Everyone's got to do it. Every episode, one person's got to do it.
It's required.
Charlie, everyone knows you. It feels so stupid in season 7 to be like,
Who am I?
Charlie
What am
is the host of. But just briefly remind them what podcast you hail from.
So many podcasts, like almost
True.
too many podcasts. I have a Percy Jackson podcast called Of the Eldest Gods, formerly done with Taylor. I have.
But you're moving on from Percy Jackson, right?
We're doing the Kane Chronicles now, Egyptian shit.
Very exciting.
I have a Steven Universe podcast called The Bits.
Oh yeah, and I was on that recently.
You were.
Yeah.
On for what, Marble Madness, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good shit. Good shit. And I also have a Scooby-Doo podcast called Mysteries in the Machine.
Oh yeah, and Ethan, your co-host, was on, like 2-3 weeks ago.
Something like
yes.
3 weeks ago with Josh. That was a great episode. I was just thinking about how Ethan told his harrowing story about getting trapped in the ice in the creek. So that story stands out in my mind. He was fine. He was supervised.
He survived.
He survived.
I think he turned into Jack Frost. I think that's how the story ends.
Charlie, have you been on for this book, Charlie?
I don't think I have been. I think
You haven't.
was it this book that I missed a chapter because I was sick? Or was that last book?
I don't recall. It's all a blur. Charlie. And so this might be your last appearance on the pod unless someone else gets sick and I need you to sub in. So let's just assume that it's your last time on the pod, which is bananas.
I hopefully shouldn't be getting that sick anymore because no more working with children for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yay!
Well, good. Now you can be my backup for when other people get sick.
You're welcome.
To make up for all the times you were sick. So Charlie, tell us like about how you feel about Deathly Hallows compared to the rest of the series.
I mean, it sure is a book. There's things that happen in it. It's very depressing.
I thought you might not like it because it's too depressing. That was gonna be my guess.
Listen, I like drama, but like depression, not my favorite thing.
Yeah, for someone whose preference is like cartoons and like ABC Family specials and stuff like that, like this is real long dark book of the soul.
Like some long and dark mixed in with other stuff. Okay, sure. But like
It doesn't help that the pacing is so funky.
It is very
And
funky,
it makes-
and this chapter is a great example.
Oh god.
how many weeks pass within this chapter?
I think that it said weeks past. Exactly. I think it literally says weeks past. Charlie, did you pick this chapter on purpose?
Did I pick this chapter? I actually can't remember if I picked this one or if I was placed
I think you
here.
might have requested it. Not that it matters. But.
Honestly, cannot remember. But
And
you
also
know what?
searching in our chat for Deathly Hallows is not gonna end
Nope.
well because
No.
It's not gonna come up with anything.
it's the name of the book. So we only got the name of the book 2 chapters ago. Are you speaking of the Deathly Hallows? And then we get the tale of three brothers. I almost said two brothers because that's a Rick and Morty joke.
It's in theaters now, coming this summer. Two brothers in a van, and then a meteor hit, and they ran as fast as they could from giant cat monsters, and then a giant tornado came, and that's when things got knocked into 12th gear. A Mexican armada shows up with weapons made from tomatoes. And you better bet your bottom dollar that these two brothers know how to handle business. In Alien Invasion Tomato Monster Mexican Armada Brothers, who are just regular brothers running in a van from an asteroid and all sorts of things, the movie. Hold on, there's more. Old women are coming, and they're also in the movie, and they're gonna come and cross-attack these two brothers. But let's get back to the brothers because they have a strong bond. You don't want to know about it here, but I'll tell you one thing. The moon, it comes crashing into Earth, and what do you do then? It's two brothers and they're gonna, it's called Two Brothers. Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
And now it's like after the escape from Lovegood House.
I might have wanted this maybe because it's after the Tale of Three Brothers and like iconic chapter. I feel like
it's after an iconic chapter.
It's funny because I was on for Xenophilius when we first go to see Xenophilius, and I remember saying in that episode how that chapter in the Tale of Three Brothers should have been combined, and this one could be left intact. I do still hold that this chapter should be cut down.
Yeah,
I think it should be its own chapter still, but
okay.
Goddamn.
Goddamn, yeah. Well, before we get into it, I have an email from one guess. Anyone?
To Kenna.
Oh,
Mott's?
No, that was a great guess. It's Mott's.
It's Mott's. Yeah, I knew it was Mott's. I just,
Mott sends us emails most consistently. I think Takenna does it second most consistency. Takenna waits until she gets wine drunk and then is like, here's everything I've been thinking about Harry Potter over the last 6 months. And I love those emails.
Anytime it happens.
Okay, so Mott says, I think Mott has a new picture in his email. Oh my God. It looks like he's in a unicorn outfit, but...
As it should be.
Hello there. Lately, I've been doing a thinkaroo, and I have come up with a question. Which, first of all, I have to interject. I've told Mats before. Mats is a native Norwegian speaker, right? That's the language of Norway, Norwegian.
Yeah.
And Mats, your English is so strong and incredible. I'm sure you know that because you communicate in English all the time with me and your other friends. But being able to say, lately I've been doing a thinkaroo is like extremely advanced English.
I'm pretty sure he almost only talks in English is what he told me one time.
Oh, okay.
And very rarely uses Norwegian unless he's speaking like to an older person. Because a lot of people in Norway just use English.
Interesting. Well, I just wanted to shout out doing the thinkaroo. I love that.
Yeah, no, he speaks English better than a lot of English speakers.
That is so true. Okay. Lately, I've been doing a thinkaroo, and I have come up with a question. How the fuck did Dumbledore convince Armando Dippet to hire Hagrid after the whole Chamber of Secrets incident? Hagrid was hired to help out with gamekeeper duties shortly after getting expelled, which happened in 1943. According to the Harry Potter wiki, Armando Dippet was headmaster of Hogwarts from the early 1900s to around the mid-1960s, possibly even the early 70s. So Dippet was still headmaster when Hagrid was hired, and for 20-plus years after the whole Chamber of Secrets thing, so this is not just a Dumbledore decision. Was Dumbledore manipulating the guy the whole time? But then, according to the wiki, Dippet was born in October 1637, and Hagrid was expelled in 1943, so the man was literally over 300 at the time. Mott's, what the fuck is happening? Calling it manipulation might be generous, as there's a real chance Dippet was kind of losing it by then. Was he just high on painkillers or something the whole time he was headmaster just to get through his day? And Dumbledore just did whatever he wanted? And this is like a fake quote. Dumbledore. So Armando, I know Rubius was expelled from Hogwarts yesterday for, what was it again? Oh yes, setting free a racist monster as part of his genocidal quest to rid the school of a specific group of students, killing a 14-year-old in the process. However, would you be terribly upset if I were to hire him to work for the school right now? Dippet, in brackets, unintelligible mouth noises. Dumbledore, excellent, I'll get on it right away. Besides, Rita Skeeter did write a book on the poor guy titled Armando Dippet, Master or Moron, so maybe he was a little lost toward the end of his life. And while I know it could potentially be argued that Rita is not the most reliable source of information out there, the fact that she wrote this book does lend some credence to my theory. Yes, the use of the word theory here is very generous, I know. I'm actually intrigued by Dippet now, thanks to this bullshittery of mine based in nothing but speculation. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely day. Sincerely, Mods. Mott says always thank you for this, like, very well-researched, like, random speculation. What do you think about this, y'all?
My immediate thought is, like, was Dumbledore, like, the deputy headmaster, and that's maybe why he could have had that much pull to have Hagrid be hired?
Deputy headmaster. Okay.
Possibly.
That's a good theory.
I was just trying to look it up. We don't know who was the deputy headmaster for
Okay.
Dippet.
So I genuinely had like a real thought about this.
Okay.
So we know Dumbledore knows that Hagrid didn't do the chamber.
Yeah.
My guess is Dippet probably was also told Hagrid didn't do the chamber.
Okay.
And, like, but they had to have a scapegoat. Like,
Yeah.
because they
of the
didn't.
school governors, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So, I also assume that Dumbledore probably knows what Hagrid was doing down there. And can see that he can work with magical creatures. And I think, like, it came from a genuine, like, well, he has shown that he can care for them. Let's put him... I know I'm giving too much, like, credit to several people here.
No, I like that theory. It was kind of reminding me of how in the movies Seamus Finnegan is portrayed as his only character trait is that he explodes things. And then in the last movie, McGonagall is like, we need you to explode this thing. And he's like, really?
Got it.
It's like the same kind of, it's like, okay, here's the thing you do that makes my life really hard. Let's channel this into something good. So I think actually both of your theories could be true, because then Dumbledore would have that extra pull. Because if McGonagall was like, hey man, I'm fucking telling you, Dumbledore, this kid did not do this, I think he'd believe her, because they have that kind of relationship, you know?
So I've always viewed Hagrid as autistic coded.
Sure. There's
Especially
a lot of
with,
evidence there.
Well, especially with his, like, pull towards the kids.
Yeah, and animals.
I know that's a very, like, my brother, he's, let me see, I'm 26, so he's 21 now. Mm-hmm. He, like, does not quite understand that he's an adult, so he still wants to be with kids.
Yeah.
And not a creepy way. And so I've always felt that way with Hagrid, too. And his hyper-focus is animal care. Yeah. And that's why he's sometimes not great at the other parts of his job. Sure. But the forest is well taken care of. He has that relationship with some of the centaurs and then all the spider stuff.
Spider stuff.
So, I don't know. That's just, I think, for me, it's Dumbledore saw he had a specific gift and ran with it. Whether or not Dippet was, like, functional enough to make that decision, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it was a genuinely, like, good thought-through decision on Dumbledore's part and not just him taking pity.
Okay. There's also the element of, like, this is a 14-year-old half-giant orphan. Where he go? Like, if you don't employ him or care for him at that point, he's going to end up on the streets, possibly causing a lot of damage, you know, to himself and others.
And especially, you know, Dumbledore's the one who gets Tom Riddle from an orphanage. I really feel like he probably has a really strong feeling towards not allowing Hagrid to end up, you know, in an orphanage or in some other situation.
Yeah. Damn, the Wizarding World needs their own orphanage because there's a lot of fucking orphans up in here. They can't all be going to Muggle orphanages.
Where's the Wizarding foster care system?
The orphaning rate in the UK is just out of control. Oh, well, thanks so much for this email, Mots. I liked this one a lot. I love... Mots, I love when... I would never have thought of this in my life, but it's like a great question. So I'm glad that we got the opportunity to discuss this. We turn now to the chapter at hand, the Deathly Hallows. Harry has this thing. I have the same problem as Harry, but I think I deserve to have this problem and he doesn't deserve to have it. Where like when you like are thinking about something and you think you've figured it out, you think you're like right, or you've like figured out something. And the euphoria of that is like so overpowering that it's like you are completely tunnel vision now. Do y'all ever experience that? Do you know what I'm saying? Did I explain that straightforward?
No, I know exactly what you mean. I don't do it quite as much as Joseph does.
Her
Granted,
partner.
my ADHD is medicated and his is not.
That is a huge factor, yes.
But he will go into this like, I think I figured out how to do the banister that I want to do downstairs, and I know I'm right about it.
Not the banister.
You don't seem to like believe me, and like that's all he's talked about for like a week. And the reason I don't believe him is because he is wrong. And it's because Lowe's and all other hardware stores do not sell the thing he thinks he's right about.
Okay.
So I truly think
evidence.
he's probably wrong here. Whereas in here, Harry's like, there genuinely is evidence.
Yeah.
He has a reason to be in his tunnel vision.
You're right, yeah.
I will say Joseph is normally right about house projects.
Yeah.
This is the one time I am correct.
They are in a field, and this is like directly after the last chapter, right after the Rumpet Horn has exploded, and Hermione did her very clever girl thing of like making sure the Death Eaters saw Harry before they made their escape so that maybe Xenophilius would get in less trouble. Okay. So they've just like escaped that by the skin of their teeth. Hermione is doing her protective charms and saying, I told you so. I told you so.
Not the kind of person to say I told her so, but you know what? I told her so. I told her so.
So they erect the tent and go inside to talk. And that's like basically what this chapter is. It's just like, let's do a little chit chat. There's a couple of these chapters, and Taylor, we have been talking over the last several chapters about like how we would smooth out this section of the book, but there's like this chapter where they're like, let's talk about what we've learned. There's we've read one or two already, and then I think the final let's talk about what we've learned is, oh my god, Taylor, you're also on for it.
Yep.
Oh my god.
The final, oh yeah, because it probably had Andrew on it, and we've had to replace him on a lot of episodes. The final hiding place where Harry is like, it's at Hogwarts, and they're like, uh-oh, it's at Hogwarts, and that's the whole chapter.
God damn.
Considering I have, in fact, volunteered to be on Hogwarts Express chapters, it's fine.
It's fine, okay. At least those have a bit of like a forward momentum, you know what I mean? It's like, ooh, we're going. Oh, we're going somewhere, but
right now we're not.
I deal with teenagers all day who just give me exposition, it's fine.
So they are talking about like, are the Deathly Hallows even real, or was Xenophilius just trying to like get them to stay? Ron is like, I'm really bad at improv, therefore everyone must be bad at improv. So there's no way that Xenophilius was lying because improv.
I do want to actually go back just a tiny, tiny bit.
Okay.
In that Hermione says, what about Luna? And
Yeah.
She's super smart in how she did it, in that she made sure Harry had a glimpse so that Luna probably wasn't harmed due to Xenophilius possibly lying.
Yeah.
But then they say she's probably in Azkaban, and Harry says she's probably teaching all the inmates about Raxburts and Nargles.
Yes.
And this is why I love Luna as a character, is she genuinely probably is the only character who could survive Azkaban just because she's not gonna let, like, dark thoughts in, because she's already dealt with such darkness, losing her mom and seeing her die.
Yeah.
And she hasn't let that get to her, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
It's like how Sirius was able to, like, you know, hang on to something that was, like, you know...
By being a dog.
Yeah.
Because Luna Lovegood has the optimism of a dog.
She is a good pup.
Yeah, aw.
My friend recently just had a baby a few days ago, and the nurses just kept describing her husband as a golden retriever.
Aw.
The whole time, because he's such a good girl dad. It's so cute. But like every time the nurse change happened, they would say to my friend, "You know, your husband gives off golden retriever energy."
I know.
Every
just had a
single
baby, though.
one.
No, that's good, because I feel like when babies are born, dads are like chopped liver. Like, my friend who just had a baby, every time I go over, I'm like, "Oh, Mia, oh, you're so strong. You look so good. Oh," and then I'm like, "Oh, baby Paul, oh, I love you so much." And then I'm like, "Oh, hey, Thomas, what's up?"
The thing is like, Matt wants you to do that to his wife and child. Like,
yeah, they do deserve it.
He is such, they're gross. Like, they're so cute. It's gross.
Ugh.
Like, their whole,
I get
like,
it.
And,
That's how I feel about Jason and Leela. Watching them interact, I'm just like, ugh. Imagine
Yeah,
being
like,
this in love.
it's so gross. Like, they're so cute. Oh my god. But yeah, it's that I feel like having that optimism, even in the face of terrible stuff happening, like in the case of Luna, I think is how I think they're right in that she'll survive Azkaban, because she's tough in a different way than we often give people credit for.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, you can continue now.
That is so okay.
The
No,
Deathly
thank you for
Hallows.
drawing
I
our
just love
attention to
Luna.
Luna, who, by the way, Luna Lovegood. I think I mentioned on the show recently that our friend Phil has been doing a series of brackets in the Discord. We voted first to pick our favorite magical item in the whole world, which it was the tent, right?
I think it was the
the
tent.
The magical tent that we're currently inside of. And now we're doing best Harry Potter character, period. And the voting has not yet closed, but it looks like it's going to be Ginny Weasley, and the runner-up was Luna Lovegood. And Charlie, what did you say? Plot twist, Luna and Ginny kiss instead of fighting, and I like that too.
This is what I've been thinking for like the past couple rounds, because it was just like, oh, like Ginny's obviously going to win against whichever Weasley twin.
Yeah.
And if Luna wins against McGonagall, then like it's going to be them at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, Ginny ran against George's ear in the last round.
Yeah.
True.
And I sent a picture of my Ginny, like, with her back to the camera, because Mott said something about having to choose George's ear. And Ginny refused to take pictures all day that day because of Mott's.
Oh my god, Mods. It always comes back to Mods. So shout out to Phil, because I've been loving these brackets. And the funny thing is that the magical tent, I never would have guessed that in 100 years. But Ginny and Luna being the final two, absolutely, I could have guessed that.
Obviously. They are the best.
Yeah, well, I think Ginny made it pretty far along in our Harry Potter Fight Club too.
Yeah, I think she was in the second to last round. Most of the Weasleys made it pretty far just because...
They will fight you.
Yeah.
They will fight you. So, okay, are the Deathly Hallows real? Did you notice I almost said Horcruxes, because it's really stupid the way that this book is constructed? Also, they both start with the letter H.
Yeah, Hallows versus Horcruxes. That's
I think
what we
there's
got
a line.
here.
Isn't there a line in this chapter that's like Hallows or Horcruxes?
Yeah, no, it's yeah, I think Harry says it.
I think that
So-
comes back.
thinks it.
Like,
Yeah,
later
and it's
on.
like, man, one of these. If you just had like a video game HUD in your vision, you could see that one of these is marked side quest and one of these is marked main quest. Like he could see it if he just had some perspective. Not that I'm saying that like the Deathly Hallows are irrelevant, but they are not the main quest.
But it's what the book's called, so it's like really funny that it's like, oh yeah, no, we don't have to focus on this. It's not what we're after. It's not the main quest, but it's what the
all of the
book's
readers
called.
are like, I think it is.
It's what the fucking book's called.
I've never been so, like, annoyed with Hermione ever until this chapter. Because she just keeps discounting him, even though they often, like, listen to her and her reasoning and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, the one time Harry wants to share his reasoning behind something, she's like, well, you're just trying to fit evidence in. And it's like, she gives white female liberal in modern America who will say things like that to, like, black women. You're like, well, you're just trying to fit this into this mold. And it's like, yeah, but the mold is there, and, like, here, it just goes in.
Yeah.
So that really got under my skin.
Yeah, it's hard because, like, I definitely relate to Hermione's. I have the same thing sometimes, especially with my husband, Sean. I think it's, like, comes out way more in relationships where I'm, like, very intimate with the person. I think we talked about this, actually, last week with Ashley. So sorry if I'm repeating myself, but where I'm, like, just pretty quick to say no, because a lot of times Sean says crazy stuff, and I'm like, no. And so, like, sometimes Sean is like, can you just... I hear your no. Can you just... What if yes, though, for like 1 second? What if yes? And so it can be really hard to be like, I'm always the logical person. I'm always the one who's like grounding us, and kind of just like letting that like become part of your identity, you know, just being like, you're crazy over and over and over.
Which is really funny you bring up that grounding bit, because later in the chapter, Harry is like, yeah, Ron is sort of the leader right now.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that he becomes the grounding factor, while Harry is often his thought space, and Hermione's sort of too busy trying to convince him of that, so who's left to ground is Ron. And I think that's just like an interesting bit of role in this chapter.
Yeah, we're completing Ron's arc right now.
Yeah.
Like his arc is kind of completed. I think that J.K. Rowling would say, oh, when he finally kisses Hermione. But I think that him taking leadership and accountability in these past couple chapters is the completion of the Ronald arc. Also, I think J.K. Rowling would be like, but remember at the end when he says, what about the house elves? Which I hate. No, we are currently at the end of Ronald's arc.
Yeah, like that's definitely the role of like the best friend archetype to a protagonist, is they have to be like the grounding one in the friend group. We have the smart one, we have the protagonist, we need to have the best friend who like
the protagonist who's not smart or grounding or anything.
Exactly, just the one that propels the story.
He's got spirit.
Forward.
He's got spunk. He's got that je ne sais quoi. So they're like, are the Hallows real? We literally have on our persons one of the Deathly Hallows, probably. So that's like a good clue. And
then possibly another.
Yeah, that's why I think I get so annoyed with Hermione during this. It's just like, I am holding it.
Yes.
It is in my hands. And she's like, well, Dumbledore. And it's like, yeah, but Dumbledore didn't need it because he could make such a good invisibility charm that it didn't matter. So the fact that he had it is genuinely important.
I feel like Hermione like isn't actually thinking this through and isn't actually telling us if she believes in them or not. I think she is very worried about this side quest becoming the main quest. So I think she's just like shutting it down however she can.
You know what I want to compare Hermione to in this chapter is like, in some of the newer Scooby-Doo media, we have Velma, who is the skeptic. That's like the thing. The smart person has to be the skeptic. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, totally. What a burden, honestly.
It's just such a thing. Like, why can't the smart person also, be a believer?
I think that's why I like Phineas and Ferb because they're so smart and they're like, let's fucking do it then.
Right?
Can I like psychology nerd for a second?
Go, girl.
Go ahead.
Historically, those who are in higher intellectual fields actually tend to be less likely to be religious for very similar reasoning.
Oh.
So, like, in college, the majority of my professors either identified as atheist or only, like, culturally religious in certain aspects, and I always find that interesting. And it has a lot to do with you become so connected to your field or what is real in front of you that you lose the ability to suspend that disbelief. And it's actually a conversation I've heard Hank and John Green have, because where John Green is actually pretty religious, almost became a priest, actually.
Whoa,
or
oh yeah.
whatever his field is. But whereas, like, Hank is a pretty staunch atheist, but they get along and respect each other's positions because they understand how the other person thinks. And so the fact that she isn't believing in the Deathly Hallows really matches up with her character of, well, I can't see this right in front of me. It's not in any real book. It's in this fairy tale book. So I can't believe it. And I think it has a lot to do with the psychology of... Now, I don't want to give Joanne that much credit, but it does make sense on a people side of things.
Yeah. But at the same time, she, like, can see it. I mean, I get it. Okay, I get it. I really do. Because, like, if someone was like... If you had, like, a collectible sword or something, and someone was like, that's the sword of Gryffindor. And you're like, no, man, it's just, like, an antique sword. Like, what are the odds that I have the one? So, like, I get the impulse to be like, no. And then, like, the risk of believing and being wrong is, like, really high. You know, like, what if we do put all our eggs in the Hallows basket and it's just so wrong and such a distraction and, like, very real harm and murder are being done, like, while we're fucking around with this side quest.
Yeah, because she puts all of her eggs in the logic basket.
Yeah. And Harry is, like... Voldemort is going for the Elder Wand right now, and I think he has that epiphany shortly. And and it's like Hermione's like, we don't... That makes it so much more urgent that we focus on the Horcruxes then, you know?
Yeah. I think that's why Ron becoming the grounding factor in this chapter is so important, because he ends up pulling both sides together.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they're, like, speculating about the Peverils. Harry literally just has a series of brain blasts.
Come on. Think. Brain blast!
Like, I wish that there was a scene of this where he's having all of these revelations interspersed with the Jimmy Neutron brain blast animation.
Like, if this was in the movie, like, just, that would be the edit. That would be the thing that somebody would make. But we don't get that.
So they start speculating about the Peverils. Apparently they were an old pureblood family that died out. And then Harry remembers suddenly that the Gaunts bragged, fucking Marvolo Gaunt bragged about being descended from them. And then the ring of Slytherin, what if that was the Resurrection Stone? Again, it's like, that is such a cool revelation, but from Hermione's perspective, it's also like, how is this serving us and our goals right now?
Because we don't know where that is. Like, how does that help us? But Harry's like, oh no, wait, what if that's what's in the snitch? Like, again, how does that help us right now?
Yeah, it's like when someone is like, wait, I just got a joke from 3 weeks ago. And it's like, not relevant, but like, I'm happy for you. Like... Leela, I'm trying to remember what Leela did yesterday. It was so funny. She was like, we were watching something and she was like, oh, this is based on this. And we were all like, yeah. What was it? Oh my God, I wish I could remember. Anyway, I was like, I'm happy for you, honey. Okay, so then Harry's just like wildly speculating. Like, I can picture him. This is what someone who's, like, done a lot of cocaine is like, just, like, pacing back and forth, having wild ideas.
Man, we should have gotten Harry high long ago.
No, he doesn't need the encouragement. So he's like, what if I could face Voldemort with all 3 Hallows? He brings out his cloak for inspection. He is like, Dumbledore was like inspecting this when my parents died for this purpose, for the revelation that I'm having right now. He thinks the resurrection stone is inside the snitch that Dumbledore... The snitch, like, falls out of his bag, and he's like, oh, the snitch is part of this! it's so funny. His energy is manic. He realizes Voldemort is after the Elder Wand.
How does that help us?
I know. Like, better to not know that you're going up against the Elder Wand.
So he... A few pages back from that, he brings up his, like, he often, thinks the phrase, neither can live while the other survives. And so his whole thought process, the Hallows versus the Horcrux.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
So, like, that's where his brain is stuck, and that's why he thinks it's important, because maybe the only way he can defeat all the Horcruxes is with the wands, not knowing he is a Horcrux. And that's why he has to die. He hasn't come to that revelation yet.
Okay. I'm wrapping my mind around it.
Have we talked about how, like, could you hide under the invisibility cloak and somebody, like, sends the killing curse at you? Would it just block it? Does that work?
Okay, do you want to know what's so funny? On the weekends, I run out of podcasts, and my audiobook, I was just a little bored of it. And so I went back and listened to the Harry Potter for Beginners episode from summer 2022, where I brought on some of my best friends who don't know anything about Harry Potter. You may remember some highlights, like Toria referring to it consistently as Hogwarts College. Someone said Herman or something Malfoy, and I thought they said Richard Malfoy, and they both were very funny wrong answers. But one thing that came out was, like, I was explaining the invisibility cloak to them, and I was explaining that it, like, hides one from death, and they were like, but what if you, like, stab them with a knife? And I'm like, I don't know, man. And they're like, this is dumb. And I was like, it's a really dumb series. And they were like, why do you like it so much? And I was like, no, I hate it. And they were like, why are we on your podcast for this? So anyway, I've been thinking about that recently too, Charlie, because I don't fucking know. It is not clear.
Yeah, because it's interesting because we know other spells can go through it because
he gets Petrificus Totalis, yeah.
Which I was also on that episode.
Oh my god, Taylor, are there any episodes you haven't been on for?
Wahaha. And so it's like, well, what if it's not the killing curse, but it's still something that could lead to your death? Like, if it's one of the other major, what are they called? The forbidden curses.
Unforgivable curses.
There we go. What if it's one of the other two?
Yeah,
we've already seen that, like, that amount of pain could easily kill you.
Yeah, or like, what if you're standing on a cliff
and they petrify you and you just go
and or like, you know what I mean? What if they Wingardium Leviosa a piano onto you? They just know where you are because you can figure out where an invisible person is. We've all played video games or whatever. Well, maybe not all of us, but me and Charlie have definitely played Baldur's Gate, where when they're invisible, you just like blast in their general area until you can like hone in on their location. So, like, there's ways. Wow, would you believe we found our first ever plot hole in Harry Potter?
It took us 7 books.
Okay. I have like two theories about this invisibility cloak. So it's either that, like, you just can't die while you're covered by it. You just can't die fully. Or I'm gonna bring in an anime that I've been watching. Because I don't know why. This just popped into my brain. So in the anime Delicious in Dungeon, if you die in the dungeon, you can be very easily resurrected, like, because your soul will not move on or whatever. It's like, it's a whole thing. So I'm just like, so what if you can actually just be full on resurrected? It's the only time you can be resurrected is if you've died while underneath invisibility cloak, and that's when the stone can actually fully work or something.
Oh, because like the other brother whose wife died not under the invisibility cloak, and the stone like didn't really work.
Yeah,
Good enough.
that's the only time you get a true resurrection, maybe.
Oh, whoa,
I don't know.
Okay, that's far-fetched, but I buy it.
This is ideas that are coming into my brain. You're welcome.
The Deathly Hallows is far-fetched, so it's fine.
So, Hermione's like not buying it. Okay, so this is funny because when I wrote my notes 2 years ago, I wrote, for once I'm not with her, this is literally all they have to go on. Because, and that's like a good point, Christina from 2 years ago. It is literally all they have to go on. But...
And she's the one who set them on this path.
Yeah, she literally is, yeah. Because you may remember 2 chapters ago, it was all they had to go on.
And it's still all we have to go on.
So like I agree that it's like far-fetched. It seems like a side quest. I don't know what else they're supposed to do. I mean, I think that we all know, and I think that the 3 of them probably know, that what they need to do is go to Hogwarts. And I think that, first of all, gotta wait till June. Can't go to Hogwarts until June. And then also,
yeah, of course.
I think that like it makes sense that the characters would be very reluctant to do that.
Yeah, but okay. We already know at this point that Tom Riddle really wanted to be a professor at Hogwarts, right? Like, why don't we think that a fucking Horcrux would be hiding there? Come on.
Yeah.
Why hasn't Harry had that brain blast today? Come on.
I know.
After everything. But he's so focused on the Hallows now that it's like, whatever Horcrux is, I don't care.
I will say that it's interesting, the one thing that pulls him out of his spiral is like in the middle of the night, like almost in the morning, couldn't sleep all night, and then all of a sudden he's like, Luna, holy shit, we should try and save Luna. And then he's like, oh, I can't do that because of all the Dementors and I have a shitty wand. But it's like, I was on the episode that we first met Luna because I chose that one because I love Luna. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting to see that he went from not knowing her at all to the one thing to pull him out of this thought spiral is making sure she's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what was I going to say? I will remind you that Luna is currently imprisoned at Malfoy Manor, not in Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but he doesn't know
Which is
that.
the next chapter.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he thinks she's an Azkaban.
Okay.
That's where...
Gotcha. Ron is like, I'm on Team Hermione. And Harry is like, of course you fucking are. You simp. God damn it. So they move on the next day. Well, any final words about this, like, debate they've been having? Okay. They move on the next day. Rainy week. The week's passed or whatever. There's like some Horcrux versus Hallows tension, which is frustrating because they're not making progress on either front because they're like, what do we do next? So that is something that really frustrates me, is like decision paralysis that makes it so I'm like an action girl. Like, let's take an action, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's sort of where Harry is at this point. He's like, we don't have an option in the Horcrux direction, so why don't we take so it's like, I totally see both sides of it, but it's like, Harry's making a really good point of there isn't another decision to make because you don't know where to go. Yeah.
It's really hard. This is so hard. I mean, I can't imagine doing it, and I'm like twice their age. Book hero, protagonist stuff. Just got to do the protagonist stuff. So Ron's like taking charge. Because he's distracted. His scar hurts. He's just sitting around trying to have a vision of Voldemort and what he's doing. Do we think that Voldemort is like intentionally obscuring what he's doing from Harry? Do we think Harry is emotionally not in a good place to like receive these visions? Like, why can't he get there? Because plot?
I took it as Voldemort's not in the area right now, and it's like a bad connection.
Oh my god, bad connection. That's so funny.
That's literally what I've always read it as. It's just he's not in the country, and then it gets better once he like gets back.
Hilarious.
I love that. Okay, well,
that's
makes
my
perfect
stupid
sense.
explanation because
I think that's true, ? Because there's also, there's a precedent for like not being able to apparate those kinds of long distances as well. Voldemort has to like fly back to apparition zone.
Yeah, like, spells can only go a certain distance, so it makes sense that any sort of magical connection could only go a certain distance.
So Ron is like, they're just poking around random places just to keep moving. So I think Ron has the gotta keep moving instinct that I was talking about, but like not necessarily for like mystery solving reasons. I think more just for like morale reasons. He's like, gotta keep moving.
And he's like trying to logic through, like he's bringing up, okay, where haven't we gone? Where are the places we know there's connection to? And he's like at least trying to pick out villages he might have been to. So like, good on Ron. He's trying to.
He's trying, yeah. One night, Ron finally manages to access the radio show Potter Watch, and Harry's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's called Potter Watch. I forgot to tell you, it's named after you." It's Lee Jordan. He's going by the name River. They're all using like code names to protect their identities. Although anyone who's ever been to Hogwarts in the last like 8 years will know that that is Lee Jordan, baby. Lee Jordan goes through some recent deaths, including Ted Tonks. They say, okay, I have to tell you, this made me cry. Not Ted Tonks because I don't really know him. They list also Dirk Cresswell. I'm like, I don't know that guy. But when they're like, Lee Jordan says Dean Thomas was traveling with these guys, and we think he might have gotten away, and if anyone has heard of him, please send word. And I was like crying because I love Dean Thomas so much, and everyone's just worried about him, and they don't know if he's alive or dead.
He's such an underrated character.
I agree, and I'm just thinking about him like escaping death and like being in the woods by himself just because of how he was born is like so upsetting to me. He's such a gentle boy. I'm literally crying, guys.
Yeah, no, my background's in history. So, like, reading this and seeing the crossovers with, news reports and other radio stations that were hidden, especially during, like, World War II. And this would be, like, a common thing where it's like, these are the people we know that died. This person was with them. We don't have any confirmation. So, like, once again, hate to give her any credit, but, like, I think this was a good representation of that kind of thing in wartime.
Yeah. When will my Dean Thomas come home from war?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was, like, literally crying. That's all. Dean Thomas, I hope you're okay. Muggles are also being killed, but it's like, well, we don't know their names, so I don't know. And then this is where they say the remains of Bathilda Bagshot were found in her home. They appear to be several months old. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say, Phil, you were right. Because in a recent episode, I just did like a quick Google on the wiki, and the wiki was like, she'd been dead for several months. So I took that to mean when Harry and Hermione found her, she'd been dead for several months, which is gross. But I see now that quote was from like now, which is several months later. So she is now, her remains are now several months old. Who found those? Oh my God. Some neighbor probably was like, we have not seen Bathilda in a long time. Yeah, big yuck. First guest up is Kingsley, a.k.a. Royal, which...
We gotta talk about these nicknames. Like, how great are they?
I mean, it's better than Shacklebolt.
But he's a king, right? He's a royal.
He's a king. Yeah.
Well, and I took Lee Jordan's as, like, the Jordan River.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Wait, what is the Jordan River in Jordan? Where is that?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that specific river. Okay.
Yeah, it's a prominent river in the Bible, so it's really the only reason I know that.
Oh my God, guys.
Because it flows down into...
I literally still have tears on my face. Okay. Just really worried about Dean right now. So Kingsley takes the opportunity to ask people to help out the muggles around them, consider casting protective charms over their houses. They're just like getting caught in the fire right now, and that's really upsetting. They don't even know what's going on. That's fucked up. Like, we haven't talked about the international statute of secrecy in some time, and I think that there's like a lot of good reasons why that exists, but I do think that this is like a huge downside to that, is having these muggles caught up in a war that they cannot fathom, you know? Because I'm here. Sean was out of town yesterday. I lock my doors and I think I'm safe.
Hmm.
You know, and it's just like not true if you're dealing with magic.
Yeah.
That would have been...
Well, yeah.
That's just like an interesting perspective. I would love to see like if someone made a fanfic or something about just like a muggle living in this war and like figuring out like what the fuck is happening. I don't know.
Just this one person who figures it out and like no one will believe them.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also interesting because... So this takes place in the 90s, right?
Yeah. 97, 98.
I was going to say, I think we're in the later 90s now.
I think the Battle of Hogwarts is in 98. That doesn't matter. So it's 50 years removed from World War II, which is the last time a true war has been in the British Isles. It's the last time any sort of bombing campaign, anything like that has happened in those. So even if it was a regular war, people would be pretty ill prepared for what's happening, even if you remove the magic aspect of it.
I agree that they'd be ill prepared, but at least you could tell them that it was happening. You know, like these muggles don't know that anything is happening. Like, I feel like, you know, the way that we've known climate change is a thing like all our lives, but like only in the past like 10 years have we been like, this weather is really crazy this year. Like we're starting to like, the clues are creeping upon us, you know? And I feel like it would be like you, without knowing that climate change is a thing, just getting the clues of like, I think the weather patterns are changing. Like you're out in this world being like, it seems like there's been like a lot of murders lately. Like there's been a lot of like explosions and buildings coming down. You're just like got this creeping feeling, but you like can't figure it out because you don't have all the clues. That scares me.
Yeah, so it says a lot about Kingsley. Like he's like, please protect your neighbors. Like
neighbors is neighbors, magic or not.
And Lee even says like, you got my vote for Minister of Magic because like he.
Spoilers, Lee.
But I highlighted this little bit because I think it is such a good thing for our modern day crises. Is he says, I'd say that it's one short step from wizards first to purebloods first and then to Death Eaters, replied Kingsley. We're all human, aren't we? Every human life is worth the same and worth saving. And as much as I hate her, this is like one of her few like truly great lines.
Yeah.
And I just sort of want to start tweeting it at her every time she says something turfish, but you know.
There's a lot of
I don't have Twitter.
There's a lot of her own words you could throw back in her face and she does not wish to read them. She's like, what idiot wrote that?
Yeah, so like anytime I hear a political ad that just says the illegals, I'm just gonna start. It is like my biggest pet peeve. Like of all the political rhetoric, just calling somebody an illegal. Like, even if you said an illegal immigrant or an illegal alien, whatever, I'd be less pissed, but just referring to them as an illegal.
Like, that's the only thing about them.
Like,
they are just banned.
It just gets so under my skin.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But, like, it's something that I think is important during this period, at least in the U.S., where we are entering or in the midst of a very tenuous time. Just remembering every human life is worth the same and worth saving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, Kingsley.
Yep. Thanks, Kingsley. The next guest is Lupin, a.k.a. Romulus. He's like, Harry's definitely still alive. And that's his cool interview. And then Ron is like, Lupin moved back in with Tonks. And everyone's like, oh my God, happy. I'm not happy because Tonks needs to dump his ass. I know she's pregnant, but she's living with her parents and she'll be okay. It's like, the way that this is written where it's like, Lupin decided to leave. Oh, he decided to come back. And it's like, you don't get to just come back the way that Ron came back. You know what I mean? Like,
I wonder if Ted dying is the reason he comes back.
Oh,
like,
shit.
If that's really,
a great point, Taylor.
Or, like, if Ted was, like, on the run at that point, so Remus went back to protect.
Oh, my God. And that actually explains a lot because, like, if she just lost her father, having her child's father be like, wait, I want to come back, that is the right time for her to, like, make that choice. You know what I mean?
That's how I've always read it.
Yeah.
But that's,
That makes sense. damn. Okay, that's good.
I hate all of his choices.
Yeah,
don't
me
get
too,
wrong.
for sure. And I
But,
do think Tonks should break up with him because her and her mom are plenty to raise a kid.
Yeah.
2 moms is so much better than a mom and a dad. Oh my god. Yeah, so thanks a lot, Lupin. What the fuck did you do? It's just, okay. That's just so we could say he's back with Tonks before he, like, dies.
Yeah.
Is he redeemed? No.
No.
But the book says yes.
All that matters to me in this chapter is that they made the Romulus and Remus joke.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah. It's like the most as transparent as J.K. Rowling's character names are. These nicknames are far more transparent. Next is Fred and George, whose code names are Rodent and Rapier, which is very funny because did they come up with it themselves? Was there an agreement about who was who? Were they reneging on the agreement live on the air? Like, I just think it's very funny. And they're here to say basically stop making shit up about Voldemort because it's scary and misinformation is also scary.
I think we need to go back like one bit and talk about Hagrid.
Oh yeah,
and his
Hagrid.
support
How
Harry
did I-
Potter
What
party.
a fucking idiot. Sorry, but like, god damn, that's dumb.
Sorry, I just wanted to.
No, you
and,
gotta. Thank you.
fair.
and
for
they're
your
just like,
attention to
please
it.
don't have those parties. Thank you.
It's
Literally, it must be for students because teachers would know better than to come to that. So
Yeah.
that's really bananas.
It's so Hagrid though to do
It is. It was
something
probably
like that he
a
thinks
tea
is so
party.
innocent.
And then be like, oh, fuck, I'm on the run. Now I have to be a capable adult, which he is. Hagrid. Whenever I think about him just like running away, and it's like, he doesn't like to go into beast mode, but like he definitely has beast mode, you know?
I like how Lee's like, well, at least he's got a 16-foot high half brother when they're talking about him
16
getting
foot
away.
high. I don't know why that's so funny to me. It's tall. I'm 16 foot high. You sure are high. So, Voldemort, nope. Harry Potter. Sorry, so easily confused.
Same thing.
Harry Potter is like, Voldemort is looking for the wand. And Ron's like, no, don't say it. But he says it. He says Voldemort.
He's such a dumb fuck.
And people instantly appear outside the tent telling them to come out. That feeling of realizing you have just made a grave error and like the couple of seconds before the consequences hit are like nightmarish.
My favorite description of Voldemort ever comes in this chapter, and I think it's Fred says they're talking about how he's been like spotted outside of the country, and he says he can move faster than Severus Snape confronted with shampoo when he wants to. And I think that's such a good way to end. Like, it's the best.
That's
the
pretty
best
good.
characterization.
It's a good line. So everything's fine. As you can tell, everything's fine.
Everything is totally
Everything's
fine.
going peachy.
Next week's chapter is called Malfoy Manor. Don't know what that's about.
I think next week's
everything
chapter
is
is
fine.
called Trauma.
Drama. Oh my god, it's upsetting. But
Yeah.
we'll make it fun. Don't worry, guys.
I hope you do.
That is the end of the chapter. Charlie, do you have any final words or anything we missed or anything you want to underline?
This sure is the thing that happened. No, I
Sure is.
I don't think I have anything for you. Except that like Potter Watch is just a great idea for that should have been a name for a podcast if it isn't already. Like
I think it is.
I think it is.
it has to be
Yeah.
because like come on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Let me
I'm
see if
like
it's-
95% sure it is.
Let me see if it's still going. No, it is not. No, it
Too
is
bad.
not. But
But
shout
like
out to Alex and Molly. Oh my god. Wait, let me see.
how far did they make it?
I'm trying to see it. It's unclear because they didn't name their episodes like me. Wait, Secrets of Dumbledore. Hold on. Not that this matters at all. I cannot account for this podcast. I don't know if it's good or not. Wait, did you guys complete? Wait. They may have completed. Oh my god, they completed! Round of applause for Potter Watch Podcast. They completed the series.
Good job.
Very proud of you.
You did it and you got out.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah, one day I'll be like you guys. Potter Watch.
You're so close.
So close. So very
I know.
close.
I'm loving these final moments. Any last words before we move on to plugs?
I genuinely think this chapter would have benefited from less of the back and forth of Hermione, like, not listening.
Yeah.
That is my biggest... Like, there's a lot of things I have a problem with, like, this section of the book, but it's just... There's just too much of it, especially for a child.
It might have been better if Hermione, instead of being like, no, 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 for her characterization and for the pacing, if she was like, Harry, this has given us a lot to think about, and, like, let's not be hasty.
Don't be hasty.
Let's take our time to think about it. And then it's like, and think about it, Harry did. You know what I mean? Over the next several weeks. And that way we can, like, internalize and make faster this issue, you know?
Like, I enjoyed the Harry parts of it where you see his thought process, but having Hermione every 5 seconds be like, no.
Yeah,
like,
not helpful.
It just,
it makes me feel sad for Sean, because I do that to him all the time.
It just slows it down so much, and I think that's what makes the middle of the book drag.
Yeah, and they're still camping. I mean, it's finally almost over, but, like, goddamn, they are still camping.
Yeah.
The shining light in this chapter for me is, like, Ron. Ron is like, I vow never to be a problem ever again, and I'm really happy for him. Like, it's so easy in earlier books to forget that, like, Ron is a really strong character who I think has one of the most believable and relatable character arcs, at least for me. And, like, I really, really love him by this point in the series.
Age.
Yeah, he totally acts his age.
He is the only character in the trio that you can tell what age he is by how he acts.
Yeah. And so just he's been a problem a lot in this series, and he's like, now is the time for me to not be the fucking problem. And he doesn't anymore. Yeah. So I think that's cool.
Good job, Ron.
Let's move on to plurgs. Charlie, have you thought of one, or should I make Taylor go first?
Make Taylor go first.
Taylor, what are you plugging this week?
You can follow my dog at Jenny the Griffin Doodle on Instagram. Joe just posted a reel the other day illustrating how often we take pictures of her. We're bad at updating it, but, you can always go there for some dopamine. My plug is the podcast Overdue. It's a podcast. Their tagline is podcast about the books you've been meaning to read.
Ooh, I love that because, like, maybe I'm not gonna read them though.
Yeah, well, and it's fun though. Like, I listen to it even if it's books that I don't care about, haven't read.
Yeah,
it's still fun. They're very funny. The book started in 2013.
Oh shit!
So, like,
that's an older podcast.
There's almost 700 episodes.
Imagine having 700 episodes.
It's fun. It's sort of cool because I listen to some of their recent episodes just, if it's books I have read. But I like to listen to the backlog. I started this last summer after I finished listening to all the backlog of Behind the Bastards and needed something to put in its place. But it started off where it was like just reading the books they skipped in, like, college and high school. And now I'm almost to episode 150. Their 50th, 100th, and 150th episodes are the 50 Shades of Grey books.
Oh, shit. Wow.
And it's a good time. If you're a big reader, I recommend it. Sometimes I pull some books that I do end up wanting to read. But it's fun and funny.
Cool. I love that. I'll definitely have to check it out. Charlie, what are you plugging this week? Or, well, first remind the listeners where they can find your pods.
You can find my pods places on the internet. At Of the Eldest Gods pod for Percy Jackson and Kane Chronicles shit right now. At the Bits SU pod for Steven Universe. And at Mysteries in the Machine pod for Scooby-Doo. Those are my things. I'm gonna plug a podcast that I've been listening to recently. I've been listening to an Ace Attorney podcast.
Okay.
So I've been having a lot of Ace Attorney references on my own podcast because I'm just like, this is in my brain, this is in my ears. I'm also rewatching the anime. So don't worry about it. I've been listening to Turnabout Breakdown, which, amazing name, good idea, goodness. They're going like one case at a time of everything, because like it's
Oh god.
yeah, I know it's like so much, but like I don't know how else you would break down the Ace Attorney games, because you could go like by each day in each game, or you could break it down by like, this is the case that happens. There's so much that's going on.
Hell yeah.
One of the people doesn't know what's going on, and the other person does, and
That's always a wonderful podcast dynamic, I think.
it's always the best.
Hell yeah. Cool. Thanks for the plug. I've been your host, Christina. You know where to find me. Let's see if I've read anything since the last episode, which would be bananas because I recorded it very recently. No, I have not. I'm currently reading Iron Flame, the sequel to The Fourth Wing, which I'm enjoying that series quite a bit. If you're the kind of person who's like, this is really basic, I don't like this basic ass straight romance fantasy, then, you know. But I like fun books, so. And that is it. That's all I got. I haven't been doing a lot. Taylor, Charlie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I love you both so much.
Thanks for having us.
love you too.
Yeah, any old time. Taylor, you're definitely coming back on the show. Charlie, my guess is we'll probably get you back on the show. But if not, I'll see you on Burn Before Reading.
Yeah. Don't burn
Also,
my things.
Also, Charlie, good luck on your move.
Yeah. You
That's coming, right?
It's coming, and as I just said in the Discord, you planned out the Deathly Hallows Part 1 recording for the weekend that I'm probably moving.
Oh, the watch along.
The watch along or whatever. Yeah,
That's okay.
it's like
We will miss you if you are not able to make it, but you'll be settled in for the grand finale.
I will be crying in wedding prep that weekend.
Oh, sure.
Because that's 2 weekends before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Godspeed to you both. See you for the next one. All right. Are we ready? Let's go kill Voldemort. Just kidding. You said Voldemort. We're fucked.
Oh shit.
Voldemort is going down.
That's it, potheads. Thanks for listening to The Restricted Section. Hosted and produced by me, Christina Kahn. Theme music produced by Ryan Kahn. Logo designed by Michael Hardison. Please don't find us on social media. I am not doing anything there. However, you are welcome to join our Patreon. For $1 a month, you can gain access to our Discord server, which is a lot of fun. And for $5 a month, you get access to our monthly bonus episodes. There's also a $10 and a $20 tier as well. So please go check that out. We are honored to be part of Deus Ex Media Podcast Network, which features lots of wonderful podcasts for nerds, including this one.
Well, we finished the Percy Jackson series. Wait, what are we still doing here? And what is that music?
Oh, you thought it was over, bro? We're just getting started.
We are? Charlie, what's next for the Eldest Gods?
Well, Ray, it's time for us to go into our Egyptian era. We're gonna start the Kane Chronicles.
Oh, hell yeah! Wait, why do you have a glowing boomerang?
Don't worry about it. It's just my Egyptian magic wand.
Man, the Egyptian stuff isn't gonna be like the Greek stuff, is it?
Not at all. But we'll still cover mythology as it comes up in each chapter.
Are we gonna have cabins this season?
Nah, the Kanes don't have cabins. So instead, I'm Charlie, following the path of Bast.
And I'm Ray, following the path of Geb.
Join us as we read The Red Pyramid, the first book of the Kane Chronicles, chapter by chapter.
Welcome back to Of the Eldest Gods.
You do have to eat food. That's actually a fact, yes, or you will die. And I would prefer you don't die.
Deus Ex Media.